Welcome back to World of Immersion. As you all know, Halloween Horror Nights started last night. And after going through all of the mazes, some of them even multiple times, we have here our full ranking of all of the mazes at Halloween Horror Nights Hollywood in 2022. Today I am joined by Alex, who was with me last night at the event. I'll make sure to link his YouTube channel in the description below. Be sure to check out his channel for more horror content. But before we start today's video, we're going to be having a ton of Halloween Horror Nights content coming up, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a video. With that being said, let's get right into the video.
Coming in at last place, number 9, we have the Tram. Even though this technically is not a maze, we are still going to include it on the list. Ultimately, I think this is a step up from The Purge last year. The sets are better, the utilization of the Bates Motel and the plane crash is a little bit better in my opinion. It is much harder to work with an outdoor maze than it is with an indoor one. It is more open, less claustrophobic feeling, so you're just not going to be as scared. The first part, the utilization of Bates Motel, was probably my favorite. I enjoyed some of the scares that they had and scenes that they had set up. The set design was at its best. However, after that, the utilization of the Nope set was not my favorite. There wasn't much going on there, and the scare actors, as I said, did not have much to work with. They were trying their best, but ultimately it just did not land for me. So that is why it is at number 9.
Alright, coming in at number 8 is going to be our lowest ranked actual maze of the event, and that is the Horrors of Blumhouse Freaky and the Black Phone. Now, I actually was really excited for this maze. I am a huge fan of the movie Black Phone, and Freaky was pretty good too, so I was really excited going into this maze, but it just really did not hit as well as the other mazes. Now, I do want to preface this by saying we had a pretty weird walkthrough of the maze. For some reason, about halfway through the maze, they kind of stopped us for like 5 minutes because it was getting super congested in there, so we really did miss a ton of the scares. But just in general, the sets were really not that impressive, and the scares were alright. There was one good scare in there, but just in general, it was not the best. And also, the Black Phone section was just super disappointing. But yeah, just being a huge fan of the movie, it just was really disappointing to see the Black Phone not hit as well in the maze. There were really no scare actors for that part of the maze, and it was just really disappointing overall. So that's why the Horrors of Blumhouse is our lowest ranked maze of the event this year. But let's move on to number 7. Alright, coming in at number 7 is going to be the Weeknd After Hours Nightmare. Now, this maze was hyped up to be the star attraction of this year's event. There were posters for it everywhere, and the ads for this maze looked really good. So I was super excited coming into this maze. Also, it was our first maze we did of the event, and just in general, it was kind of disappointing, to be honest. Now, don't get me wrong, the sets are incredible and has some of the best set design out of any maze of the event. However, there just weren't that many scare actors in there. Towards the end of the maze, the scare actors got a lot better, and there were definitely some really good scares in there that I won't spoil, but there were some great ones that got me. But just in general, it kind of felt empty of scare actors. But yeah, like I said, great set design on this one, and definitely you should check it out if you're a fan of The Weeknd. But in general, it's kind of the biggest disappointment of the event for me.
Coming in at number 6, we have Killer Klowns from Outer Space, based off of the 80s cult classic horror movie of the same name. Our run through of this was not the best. It was very congested, a lot of traffic jams, and we could not get through the rooms very quickly or see everything just due to the amount of people that was in there. What I was able to see, the set design and costume design of the scare actors was top tier in my opinion. Set design as well, very true and faithful to the original movie if you've seen it. A lot of the scenes were taken directly out of the movie and put right into this maze, which I really enjoyed seeing as a fan of the movie. The maze utilized puppet work to its full effect and created some of the best scares as well as use of the original song used in the movie. Ultimately, I believe this one could go up a little bit more on a better walkthrough. However, the one that we experienced was very congested and very hard to get through and very claustrophobic in terms of people. Good maze overall, not the best. Coming in at number 5, we have Halloween, based off of the 1978 classic slasher movie by John Carpenter. I really enjoyed this maze, mainly due to the use of John Carpenter's original soundtrack and straight up lines taken from Donald Pleasance within Halloween. The maze used claustrophobia to the fullest extent to amplify the scares. A lot of set design was taken straight out of the movie in the Myers house, as well as the costume design. The masks looked good. There was some great set design that gave the illusion of being outside while still being in an indoor maze, mostly taken right out of the movie. Overall, so far, this has been one of the mazes I have been scared in the most, and it was very true to the film.
Alright, coming in at number 4 is going to be the Universal Monsters maze for this year, Legends Collide. Now this maze features the Mummy, Dracula, and the Wolfman, and I had really high expectations going into this maze and it did not disappoint. I always love the Universal Monsters mazes. Last year, Bride of Frankenstein was by far my favorite maze, so I was super excited for this one. It had some great scares and some of the best set design out of any maze of the event. Also, the soundtrack is fantastic, being done by Slash like the previous Universal Monsters mazes. And yeah, just overall, this was a fantastic maze and a not-to-miss experience. What's cool about this maze is that each time the maze actually is a different winner between the Wolfman, Dracula, and the Mummy. Meaning that finale scene is going to change every time, which is super, super cool. Overall, this maze was just really fun, and it was great to have another classic Universal Monsters maze back at this event this year. But let's move on to our top 3.
Alright, coming in at number 3, we have Universal Horror Hotel, another original maze that I really enjoyed. I love the attention to detail and how much effort they put into making this original story come to life in this maze. Everything from architecture, paintings, and old film reels being utilized to create this illusion of being in this old hotel where some sinister stuff is happening. This had some of my favorite set designs and some of my favorite scares of any maze. The costume design was amazing. As I said in the vlog, this, in my opinion, has potential to be the most underrated maze of this year's Horror Nights. I would definitely recommend checking this one out if it has no line. Coming in at our number 2 spot, we have La Llorona, the story of the weeping woman. As I've talked about many times throughout this ranking, set design is a big thing for me. I like to feel like I am transported into this world, and this had possibly the best set design in my opinion. I really enjoy this story, this legend, and I think this maze did a great job of bringing it to life. This maze has huge spectacle props that I really enjoyed. Some people have gone so far to say it is even too much for Horror Nights. To me, that is the point, and I really enjoyed seeing everything that they had to offer. The costume design was a lot of makeup, which I really enjoyed, the practical effect that these actors are able to get on themselves. And so far, this is the only maze to utilize real water that I have seen so far. Our first walkthrough was a little bit iffy because a lot of the props were not working as intended and we were missing a lot of scare actors too. The second time we walked through, immediately jumped up to the top of this list. I definitely recommend waiting a while for this one. If it has a long line, you will not be disappointed. Also, the first iteration of this maze came out before the 2019 movie set in the Conjuring universe, so it is going to be very different. Definitely recommend this one. Please check this out.
Alright, and we've made it to our number 1 spot, and there's only one maze left, and that is going to be Scarecrow the Reaping. Now, this maze I had super high expectations for. I was so excited for this after seeing the concept art that was released at Midsummer Scream, and hearing about how cool this maze would be. I had super high expectations going in, and it did not disappoint. This maze exceeded my already really high expectations. Now, we had one of the best walkthroughs of this maze out of any maze I have ever done in my life. We were the only 2 people in there. It was incredible. We got every single possible scare, and there were so many scare actors in there. The set design is some of the best out of any maze I've ever been through, and just the scare actors in general were so good. I got scared so many times in this maze, much more than I ever have been in any other maze before. I would strongly recommend doing this maze early on in the night so you can get a walkthrough with not a ton of people in there, because it just makes it that much better when you're one of the only people in there. Because all the scares are just incredible. They come out of nowhere and it is terrifying. But that's going to do it for our ranking of every single maze at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights in 2022. But I know that our ranking will be very different than everybody else's, so I want you to comment down below how you rank the mazes at this year's Halloween Horror Nights. Or if you haven't been yet, comment down below how excited you are to go. Thank you so much for watching today's video, but before you go, be sure to check out this video of our first reactions and everything from our first night over at Halloween Horror Nights from last night. Thanks so much for watching World of Immersion today, and we'll catch you in the next video.